Hey everyone! Welcome to this detailed episode summary of the Three Body Season 1 Episode 3. In this video, I'm going to take you through the series of events that happened throughout this episode. We'll talk about Wang Miao's experiments, the countdown he sees in his vision, getting advice from his wife's friend, and the implications of Wang Miao's temporary halt of his projects. Let's get started. Wang Miao found himself scrambling to determine the source of the timestamps on the photos that the Trisolarans had sent to him. His frantic experiments eventually resulted in him seeing the countdown in the center of his own vision. Not sure of what was happening to him, he consulted his ophthalmologist friend of his wife, who determined there was nothing physically wrong with his eyes. Still out of options, he went back to Shen Yufei of the Frontiers of Science for advice. She suggested halting his government-supported nanotechnology experiments. This halt would impact Miao's projects, especially those that could potentially benefit China with its technological advances. We'll discuss this further in Section 4 and 5, so keep tilting your head and keep watching. Like this video if you've already assumed that this is the best ending you could have hoped for. Trust me, the rest of the content will be incredible. In Episode 3 of Three Body, Wang Miao was desperately searching for a solution to the timestamps on the photos sent by the Trisolarans. After experimenting with various scientific theories, he was still unable to pinpoint a source or explanation for the timestamps. He started feeling desperate as the time ran out and the countdown neared its completion. With his experiments proving to be fruitless, Wang Miao found himself in a very difficult situation. Time was running out, and he had no idea why he was seeing the countdown. Frantically, Wang Miao reached out to an ophthalmologist friend of his wife. After a thorough examination, the ophthalmologist determined that there was nothing physically wrong with his eyes. Wang Miao was now completely out of options, and the countdown showed no signs of slowing down. Not knowing what to do, and with no other options, Wang Miao went back to Shen Yufei from the Frontiers of Science for advice. Shen provided some potential solutions to the timestamps, but none proved to be effective. Finally, after hours of brainstorming and searching for solutions, the two came to the conclusion that Wang Miao should put his government-funded nanotechnology experiments on hold. This could potentially be the key to stopping the countdown and ending the mysterious timestamps. Shen believed that if Wang Miao halted the experiment, it would not only help him stop the countdown, but it would also help the Chinese government and its future technological advancements. However, stopping the experiments would also come with serious repercussions. With his experiments on hold, the Chinese government would not receive the technological advancements they were expecting. This could potentially lead to a setback in the government's progress, and most importantly, it would mean the end of Wang Miao's experiments. The implications of stopping Wang Miao's experiments are immense. As seen in this episode, the choice of halting his projects or not was a difficult one, and it remains to be seen how this will affect the trajectory of Wang Miao's career and the potential advancements of the Chinese government. Wang Miao was determined to find a way to end the mysterious timestamps and find some type of solution to prevent the countdown from occurring. With his latest experiments proving to be fruitless, he turned to Shen Yufei of the Frontiers of Science for advice. With no other options available, Wang Miao explained the timestamps to her and his theories surrounding the potential source. After hours of brainstorming and searching for potential solutions, they concluded that halting Wang Miao's government-funded nanotechnology experiments might be the only way to stop the countdown. Although this suggestion was met with heavy resistance from Wang Miao, it was ultimately the only option that seemed feasible at the time. Shen Yufei also saw how stopping the experiments could benefit the Chinese government, as it would provide an opportunity for the government to focus their resources on bigger, more important projects. The potential ramifications of halting his experiments, however, were unknown. The implications of this decision would ultimately result in the end of Wang Miao's experiments and a potential setback in progress for the Chinese government. Shen Yufei wanted to ensure that the Chinese government was aware of the potential consequences of halting the experiments and wanted to be sure that they would make the right decision. In the end, Wang Miao decided that halting his projects was the best course of action, as it seemed to be his only option at the time. He had no other choice but to halt his experiments in the hopes that the countdown would stop. With his decision made, the only thing left to do now was to wait and see if his decision would yield a successful result. Wang Miao was unsure of what to do next. With all of his experiments having yielded no results, he needed an alternative solution to stop the countdown. His wife suggested consulting an ophthalmologist friend of theirs, as they thought there was a chance that his eyes could be the source of the problem. Upon their visit, the ophthalmologist conducted a series of tests in order to get to the bottom of the issue. After a thorough examination, they determined that there was nothing physically wrong with his vision and concluded that it was unlikely that his eyesight was causing the issue. The ophthalmologist suggested that the source of the problem might be psychological, as the countdown was not present in Wang Miao's vision when he closed his eyes. With no further answers available, Wang Miao and his wife were left with more questions than answers. Distraught, Wang Miao began to contemplate alternative solutions to stopping the countdown. He was determined to find a way to stop the mysterious timestamps and find some type of solution to prevent the countdown from occurring. His wife then suggested that he turn to Shen Yufei of the Frontiers of Science for advice, since she had previously been helpful in his research. With no other options available, Wang Miao accepted the suggestion and reluctantly met with Shen Yufei to explain the timestamps and his theories surrounding the potential source of the problem. After carefully listening to Wang Miao's explanation, Shen Yufei proposed a bold solution to temporarily halt his nanotechnology experiments. She reasoned that if these experiments were the source of the problem, then pausing them could offer some respite from the timestamps. Despite being hesitant at first, Wang Miao eventually acknowledged that this may be the only way to stop the countdown. Though the government was against the idea of halting the experiments, Shen Yufei was certain that it was the only way forward. She offered to mediate between the government and Wang Miao, and soon reached a compromise. China would continue to provide the necessary resources for his experiments. However, Wang Miao needed to take a break and focus on other pursuits during the hiatus. The two shook hands on the agreement, and Wang Miao prepared to leave the institute. Before leaving, Shen Yufei reminded him of the implications of the halt. Due to the sensitive nature of the experiments being conducted at the institute, the foreign governments had likely noticed the sudden lack of activity, and may use such pauses in future projects as an opportunity to further their own interests and gains. This would not only affect the progress of his nanotechnology projects, but could also have long-term implications on China and the entire region. With newfound understanding of the situation in front of him, Wang Miao thanked his colleague and began to make his way back home. Back home, he contemplated the potential consequences of his actions and the difficult decision he had just made. The temporary halt of Wang Miao's nanotechnology experiments could have drastic effects on all his projects going forward. While he was hesitant at first, the decision made was the right one and potentially the only way to stop the countdown. However, any progress that had been made in the past months would come to a standstill. It was unclear how long the hiatus would last, but until then, the research team at the institute was likely to be idle. The implications of the halt were not only limited to his own research, but to the entire research institute as a whole. The nearly 50 researchers that were working on various other projects may need to temporarily stop their work as well, due to the frozen resources. Not only would this be detrimental to China's progress in the area of nanotechnology, but also to the morale of the researchers and the overall well-being of the community. The secondary effects of the pause in activities were even more grave. As mentioned previously by Shen Yufei, the foreign governments in the region had likely taken note of the pause and the lack of activity. It could be used as an opportunity to gain an upper hand in the area of nanotechnology, either through espionage or otherwise. This could potentially lead to a decrease in the number of new technologies or breakthroughs being developed by China, leading to far-reaching consequences that would severely affect the progress of the country as a whole. Given the implications of the halt in Wang Miao's nanotechnology experiments, the ramifications for China were cause for concern. For example, as China was already under immense scrutiny with foreign governments, a decrease in their nanotechnology proficiency would only make them more vulnerable. It could potentially open up the door to an arms race, allowing other countries to gain an upper hand in the area. Moreover, it could lead to a decrease in military versatility and extended mission capabilities, an issue that could arise in the future given China's size and breadth of resources. Additionally, a decrease in nanotechnology proficiency could lead to a decrease in economic growth if China fails to secure a substantial share of the growing global market for nanotechnology-related products. Given all of these outcomes, Wang Miao was aware of the grim scenarios that may come to pass if his experiments were unable to proceed in a timely manner. This sense of urgency that arose from this dilemma pushed Wang Miao to dig deeper and make progress in an effort to address the source of the photographs. Even if the source was found, it was still unclear whether the experiments could continue in the same capacity as before, or whether a complete overhaul would be needed. In any case, what was known was this: the potential ramifications went far beyond the simple photos and extended to the nation of China's technological competitiveness on the global stage. This realization was something Wang Miao had to contend with, despite being surrounded by uncertainty. In Season 1, Episode 3 of the sci-fi drama Three Body, Wang Miao is faced with a dilemma beyond his imagination. In hopes of finding the source of mysterious photographs, Wang Miao begins a series of experiments with the help of his government-supported nanotechnology program, only to be met with a countdown in the center of his vision. He then seeks the help of an ophthalmologist and a friend of his wife, only to be told that there is nothing wrong with his eyes. This leads to Wang Miao consulting Shen Yufei at the frontiers of science, and she advises him to halt the experiments to gain time and get help. These ramifications, however, extend far beyond the simple photographs and could impact not only the status of Wang Miao's projects, but also the economic and military competitiveness of China on the global stage. It is clear that Wang Miao is in a race against time to resolve the source of the mysterious photos before something far more dire arises. So if this episode summary intrigued you, or if you're interested in sci-fi dramas, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date on all the best content.